Milestone Physical Therapy. This is episode number 2 of the interesting little mistakes that we might be making just because we're home more than usual. Again, these are mistakes I'm making myself, and I started to think, what if I'm not the only one? So for today's topic, does anyone find themselves more likely to go more often? I mean, the bathroom is right there. It's so convenient. So why not respond to every little urge to empty your bladder? Before you decide that this is a really weird thing for me to be wondering, let me tell you why it's not. In addition to orthopedics here at Milestone, we also do pelvic health physical therapy, and I think about bladder function a lot. Okay, so here's the problem. Going too often leads to going too often. In other words, overactive bladder symptoms. We really should only empty our bladder every 2 to 3 hours, even up to 5 hours, depending on some bladders. It can lead to a problem with urgency and frequency if we go too often. We can also develop these really strange psychological connections. You might be able to relate to this. If you always go to the bathroom right when you get home, then you might start having the urge the moment you pull into your driveway, every time, or the moment you put your key into the lock. If you go every time you pass a toilet just because it's there, then you start to have an urge to go every time you're in close proximity to a toilet. It's like there's this imaginary magnet that starts to pull you in. It has something to do with conditioning, like the well-known psychology story of Pavlov and his dogs. So he would ring a bell every time he fed his dogs. They would salivate and gobble up the food. Pretty soon, all he would have to do was ring the bell, and there would be a physiological response of salivation, even without the food. So you might be getting the physiological response of urgency even without your bladder being full enough to justify it. So in other words, don't condition yourself to your toilet. To break this cycle, sometimes all it takes is to actively calm your urge before you empty your bladder. To calm your urgency, there are some simple behavioral strategies that can help. 1, find a place to sit that puts an upward pressure, like the armrest of a couch or maybe the edge of your seat. Number 2, take some deep breaths to calm your nervous system. Number 3, try some light little itty bitty kegels. We call these quick flicks. All of these strategies work with your nervous system to talk to your bladder. So you repeat these steps until the urge passes, and then calmly walk to the restroom to empty your bladder. If you start to become confident that you can control and calm your bladder, then start stretching toward that 2 to 3 hour window if you're not there already. You may have heard that distraction works, and it may to some degree, but recent research is suggesting that a mindful approach is much more effective. If you've been to our clinic in the last couple years, you have probably had a healthy lecture on mindfulness, regardless of your diagnosis. But in a nutshell, this is it. Take in all of your current sensations, your sight, your touch, sound, smell, taste, and avoid placing any judgment on those experiences. So for instance, while trying to fall asleep at night, you hear a frog croaking outside your window. But avoid thinking about how annoying it is and how it won't let you sleep. Keep your focus on the tone, the pitch, the rhythm, the silence in between the croaks, all of the other sensations, the pressure on your pillow, the temperature of the room, all of that. And simply be in the present with the frog. Okay, that was a real life example, and I'm working on it. With regard to your bladder though, mindfulness would involve noticing the urge, how it feels. Tune into the message that it's giving your brain. That's what it is, a message from your bladder to your brain. Avoid the panic though, that's the judgment piece that tends to follow. You might want to tell yourself, if I don't run to the bathroom right now, I'm going to pee my pants. It doesn't matter that I just went 30 minutes ago. This is an emergency. Anybody relate to that? Instead of panicking though, keep your focus on how the sensation changes as you take deep breaths, as you perform your little quick flicks, as you adjust your pressure on the seat. Recognize it as a sensation in the moment and don't get ahead of yourself. We'll most likely only leak in this situation if our bladder's squeezing while we're booking it to the bathroom. This is called urge incontinence. If we calm our bladder first, then there's no pressure on the bladder to cause the leakage on the way to the bathroom. You've calmed that pressure. Of course, you may have stress incontinence too, but that's a topic for another day. So there it is, a mini lecture on why you shouldn't use the restroom all day long just because it's right there. Stay tuned for more topics on pelvic health from our amazing staff. They're coming. Stay well, and please connect with us here at Milestone with any questions. We're here for you.